joined by the Director General of the Ekiti APC and Oyebanji campaign organization, Mr. Cyril Fashui. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Sean.
I appreciate it. You heard what Mr. Moses Cholaime said. They've rejected the election. Yes. How do you respond to that?
Number one, that's very usual for Engineer Segun and his team.
Really?
Yeah, very usual.
What do you mean? If you say usual,
you will recall that in 2010, when the appeal court vacated him as the governor of Ekiti State, rather than for him to accept that the appeal court was the final court as at that time, he went to challenge the decision of the appeal court. Again, he was in APC. He contested for the primary election of 2018 against Dr. Kayode Fayemi, and he was defeated. What did he do? Rather than accept the result, he also went to court. So when you see a man that has an habitual way of thinking that if it is not him, then it is nobody, then you won't be shocked that a party that was defeated with over 100,000 votes. And where did the votes come from? We have about 2,555 polling units. And the party was defeated in over 2,400 polling units. You understand? And you can see come to say you want to reject such a result. You understand? It's amazing. But you know, in politics, you can't.
Is there anything wrong in challenging?
No, there's nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong. It's free to go to anywhere. But you see, like in court, I mean, law, I'm not a lawyer. There's this usual balance that he who alleges must prove. You understand? So we are waiting. Let them bring out all the proofs of what they have against.
But did you guys buy votes? Did you pay voters?
Let me tell you something. Let me say this to you, and I'm telling you very honestly, I was the Director General because the campaign organization has finished its assignment. I was the Director General of BAO campaign organization. So I have knowledge of everything that was done. You understand? Like he said to you, he was not involved in Segun campaign organization. So he may not know so many things. You understand? I was, and there was nothing in the entire budget of BAO campaign. You understand? There was
official budget.
I call it any name, but I know.
What about the unofficial one?
No, I know there was no official budget. There was only one budget, which I was a party to, and there was nothing. There was no line that is called vote buying.
I mean, you are speaking to the official budget.
There was only one budget. There was only one budget. There was only one budget. I was a principal actor from beginning to the end. There was nothing like any line of the expenditure that indicated that, yes, something of that nature will happen. Ekiti people have decided. You understand? They didn't decide from one polling unit. Check that result per local government. There wasn't anywhere where you saw about 40,000 votes against something. Everything was from from the units. So there wasn't anything so mongols that you can say, oh, something happened. There wasn't anything that happened.
You raised a few allegations which I will allow you to respond to.
Which allegations?
That you bought votes.
I'm saying to you
perhaps that your party paid the highest amount.
I'm not aware. Let me say this to you. I am not aware of
But the story is all over the place.
Where? Which
did you see EFCC arrest?
See, I saw the video of the EFCC arrest. Did they say that the guys they arrested, was there anywhere they wrote it that this is APC guys? There was nowhere. You understand? So if there was no place in that video that said these guys are APC guys, how come you can say you are saying that the video does not have any meaning? You understand? But until when somebody comes up to say that, oh, these guys that were arrested are of APC, you understand?
Well, I mean, we allow the EFCC to do their job.
Of course.
Not being prejudicial in one's statement. But the evidence that was obtained from the people that were arrested, the notebook that were obtained, and in fact the envelope that was received or obtained from them, it was clearly written. The APC name and the APC.
I didn't see that.
It was caught on tape.
I didn't.
Look at it. That's on tape. There, right there. It's on tape there. I'm telling you, Mr. Fashion.
Let me tell you something. This is just a mere exercise book. This is just a mere exercise book,
which was allegedly used for the distribution and
can also tell you
of
that
the funds.
I can also tell you that this may be the handwork of an opponent. You understand? You have seen in politics so many things. You have seen in politics so many things that you cannot even think of. For instance, it was mentioning that a letter purportedly written, you understand, purportedly written a day or two before the election, saying that Engineer Segun had withdrawn. And he was alleging that it was written by maybe APC. Or have you forgotten that if APC was going to write such a letter, the letter that was written, who was the beneficiary of that letter? It was not APC, it was that is withdrawing so that they can support PDP. How can APC write such a letter? You understand? A frivolous letter, and you say is withdrawing to support.
Maybe also the gimmick. I mean, well-planned gimmicks to say, okay, so our hands will not be in this.
It's not possible. It's not possible. We didn't. Because if you are going to do any fraud, you must be the beneficiary of that fraud. You understand? Who was the beneficiary? You know, so this can also be their own handwork.
Now, if you say you are not aware, he said he's not aware.
Of
but
what?
The people of vote buying,
but
the people are saying that they saw. We saw movement. We saw that people were moving around. People were arrested. Monies were obtained from people. And you said you're oblivious of some of these issues.
No, I wasn't, because I was in Ido. That's my town. I was in Ido throughout the election. So and there wasn't anything like that.
No entertainment?
Yes, there wasn't. There wasn't anything. There wasn't anything. Look, let me tell you something. Yesterday, I saw more than 400 observers. You know, in an election of our type, you understand? What do you call it? Election that maybe what do you call it? An election that is just a state election. You saw the number of agents. You saw the number of police and other security people. It's not possible for you to say you want to do anything funny, because at every time you will see one police person, you will see one observer. You understand? And where is even the money? Where is the money to do such?
So let's speak to the outcome and the margin. And of course, where APC won and where other parties. The last time, there are the strongholds of the PDP. For example, the last time in Efon, and of course in Ekiti, PDP won. But what is the explanation, like Mr. Jola said, for the defeat of Segun, for example, in his local government, in his hometown?
I heard him talk about the homeboy advantage. The homeboy advantage was in 2009. You understand? When you are talking about the homeboy advantage, I was part of the homeboy in 2010.
What is this homeboy idea?
See, because we are from, as at that time it was about Idosi. Engineer Segun is from Ifaki. You understand? I am from Ido. And so we had people like that in PDP then, because, yes, I was in PDP as of 2009. And we were the one that aggregated that defeat that we all called the homeboy advantage. But today, the center couldn't hold again. It won in Ifaki. We have 2 wards in Ifaki. And it won in those 2 wards. Don't forget one thing. I am the senatorial candidate of APC. And I'm from Ido Ekiti. And the last time an Ido son we go to the National Assembly was in 1979. So when you are talking about Segun's homeboy advantage in Ifaki, I am also the homeboy that will have an advantage in Ido. And what is the total vote of Ifaki? Compared to Ido, as far as that local government is concerned, 45% of the votes in Idosi reside with Ido people. You understand? And having been the senatorial candidate, you expect him to come and defeat me in my own town? It's not possible. He led with certain margins. By the time that margin came to Ido absorbed it. So what homeboy advantage in a local government? There's nothing like that again. The homeboy advantage that Moses was talked about was 2000 and something, and we created that homeboy advantage then. So he had only the homeboy advantage that he has now is for Ifaki, not Ido. He cannot come to Ido and defeat us. He cannot come to Ayitoro to go and defeat them in Ayitoro. Again, where is the structure of SDP? Where is the structure of SDP? SDP was not known as a party in Ekiti. The people that...
SDP came third in 2018.
See, with what votes?
So when you say they are not known, you seem to have written it.
Let me say
but that was the party that was on the ballot and came third.
There are two major political parties in Ekiti that have been interchanging government. You understand what I'm saying? Now, the people that went to SDP, majority of them came from PDP. Maybe very few, less than 10% of the aggrieved APC members went to join them. Don't also forget one thing. We did a primary election for Oyebanji in January this year. Do you know what he got? He got 101,000 votes to emerge as a governorship candidate of APC. So
it was a direct primary.
Yes, it was a direct primary. So everybody voted. So if a party has such a very large number of members, and they all turned out to support him, then what else are we talking about?
So mathematically, you're proving that Oyebanji's victory is substantiated.
Yes.
By what? Hard work or by popularity?
By hard work and popularity.
So you are saying Segun Oni is less popular than Oyebanji?
Let me tell you something. Where is the popularity of Engineer Segun Oni? Over-bloated popularity.
So he's popular than also BCK?
You mean Engineer Segun?
You're saying that Oyebanji is more popular than BCK?
Of course.
He's more popular than Engineer Oni?
Of course.
By what standard?
See, one, by virtue of being a member of APC. APC is the largest, is the biggest party in the Ekiti state as of today. You understand? Then the membership strength of APC is more. The membership strength of PDP has been deflated by the defections that you saw. You understand? The defections that you saw. Meanwhile, who left APC? Maybe less than 5%. You understand? So, Oyebanji, then you have heard about it, this homeboy advantage of Oyebanji. Oyebanji has been around here for a very long time. Oyebanji was part of the creation of Ekiti State. You understand? And you see, the Bible says that I will not dig my well for others to come and drink the water there. I will also not create my own farm for others to come and reap. This guy was part of the creation of Ekiti State. So now, having
so as a bicycle
no. That was no.
Weren't they around?
Where were they then? Where were they then in 1995, 1994? Where were they? Don't forget one thing. Oyebanji has not left the shores of Ekiti. One, all his secondary school, primary school, university was here. When he started work, he started as a teacher here. You understand? And he has been in government.
So he's an homeboy too.
He's a fantastic homeboy. Very fantastic. Very fantastic.
Homeboy terminology or the slogan is it could be used. And are you using the homeboy as your campaign slogan for the election too?
Which one?
For your senatorial election.
Do I have opponents?
You don't have enough?
I don't have any opponents.
There is the PDP, there is other parties.
Forget it. Look,
what let me tell you. You don't have opponents?
I don't have opponents. Just wait and see. Just wait and see. Who is the senatorial candidate of SDP in the Ekiti North? Who is their candidate?
What about the PDP?
I don't know their candidate. And with the result of this election, you will see that there is none of us will have any opponents.
Okay, let's get some other perspective to it. Unfortunately, we were expecting a representative and a chieftain of the PDP, but let's hear from one of the chieftains of the SDP also, who left the APC. I'm talking about Honorable Bimbo Daramola. He joins us live in Lagos. Honorable, thank you so much. It's good to see you. You seem to be very unhappy with the outcome of that exercise. Can you give us an understanding of what you thought happened? Was that election won fair and square?
Well, let me say to you that elections usually will reflect, will see, in Senate climes, let me put it like that, in climes where elections are true reflections of the wishes of the people, the results will be so infectious. People will be on the streets of Ekiti at this time, jumping up and down and celebrating that election. But let me say to you that my perspective is this. I reckon that the ruling party in the state obviously felt that they could use strong arm tactics, and they did. You know, I was going to tell you about my 7-year-old daughter, who had seen all the clips coming out of that election, and then a 57-year-old man like my friend Siri Fashui comes to national television to begin to argue and then disprove or disagree with facts and videos that you can see. I actually posted one of those videos. Now, as much as possible, I read in The Nation today about why and how people should win elections, Asiwaju was the one. The statement was attributed to Asiwaju in his letter to President Buhari. He said, and I quote, "Victories from elections should be sitting on one, that the party that has won has manifestly, I paraphrase, manifestly showed projects, enough development, substantial value for people to be able to say yes. On the basis of this, our referendum on you as a party or as a person is that you have done well, and we are rewarding you with an opportunity to go and either represent us again or to get a mandate refreshed or renewed." But I wonder if that is the case in Ekiti State today. But the strong arm tactic that was used and deployed across the state, and this is not sour grapes, this is not bad losers, it is just that people have weaponized poverty. You made them poor so that they can always grovel at your feet. How many people can actually turn their backs away, particularly in a family of 5, for instance, where all of them are electorates at that election, and they have people telling them, take 10,000 naira. And then they do an aggregate mathematics of that, and they see that that comes to 50,000 that they've not seen in 2, 3, 4, 5 months. They're not willing to be able to be rational at that point in time. But let me quickly tell you what Dr. Fayemi said when he lost the elections in 2014.
Honorable Damala, you're saying that there was vote buying. Man, if you raise this, because I raised this, you should just remember.
No, let me close. Let me say it on this. Let me land on this. Let me land on this. Dr. Fayemi, in his acceptance speech in 2014, said, and I quote him, "If indeed this is the true wishes of the Ekiti people, I am left with no choice other than to accept it." So I walk that path today to say that if indeed that is the true expression of Ekiti people, fine. For me, we all come to our copious hand someday. We know, CY knows, everybody knows, and all the journalists who are very, very reliable, dependable, and intentional at that elections, go and watch out what Observer said. Go and read the Observer's report, at least the first exit reports. Go and read it. This day, today said, Oyebanji has won.
Because of time, Honorable Damala, I'd like to quickly get more of your thoughts before we close. We just have a few minutes or a few seconds before we close. So you are talking about vote buying. Aside vote buying, are there any other things that you thought or you saw didn't make this election a victory that was fair and square?
Oh, absolutely. Did you see the violence that erupted around housing area of Ekiti? Did you see that violence? And I was just reading a message from one of those people who had videos of how people snatched ballot boxes. You saw the ballot boxes on the paper, on the floor, you know. And somebody was mentioned, Mentilo was mentioned. Pictures are flying all over the place, and these are not cooked up pictures. These are real pictures of real people. And somebody says that election has been won fair and square.
So quick one, just before we go, so that we touch on a few more issues. Now, for those who are saying now they are alleging, you talked about vote buying, those who are alleging that they actually saw you sharing money at Ire. Is that true?
I shared money. How did I share? Let them bring the pictures of how I shared money now. I don't, listen, it's even, when you win elections, you should wear the badge of honor. I don't want to go, Biodun is my friend though. And I'm very, very careful to know, I don't know whether he still sees me as his friend or not, it doesn't matter anyway. But the truth of the matter is this. Listen, when you win election fair and square, you wear a badge of honor. I'm not too sure that this victory has a badge of honor on the chest of the person who has won it. You understand? I'm talking about what is the nexus between I shared money in Ire and then they're manifest, widespread. And people are talking about the consequences of what we're doing today will haunt us tomorrow. Don't they understand that? They have reduced everything to winning elections. And one of the things I said in my write-up was that APC, as it was then, should be an institution and not just be known as election-winning machinery or election-winning machine. We're talking about ANC today. We know the ideals of the ANC. You don't win elections and then you get congratulated because you have won elections that is tainted, that has all kinds of colorations around it. Come on, there must be honor now.
No,
we must elevate this discussion.
Buhari has reacted to this election.
You guys in the media should...
President Buhari has reacted to... Just a moment. President Buhari has reacted to this outcome of the election and said, this victory shows how popular and how acceptable the APC is to the people of Nigeria.
We're raising monsters, sure, and we may end up in his belly. I'm telling you, we're raising monsters and we may end up in his belly. We're talking about elections. I mean, elections are the opportunity. That's the leveler between the rich and the poor. You know, that's the only opportunity. That's the one time that the poor man and the rich man has opportunity to freely, and don't forget, freely express without inducement, without coercion. As that election, unfortunately, how that can be proven.
Honorable, just pause for a moment. Let me allow Mr. Siri here to react just in 30 seconds at his final thought before we close, and I'll get to yours also. You heard what the congressman said. Yes, what are your reactions to that?
You heard him. You asked him the question, and you said he was sharing money in his hometown, and he said he should go and bring video. You understand? What does that mean?
He was talking about intimidation, death threats, and
who threatened who? Who threatened who?
Did you muscle the opposition?
It's not possible. You see, let me tell you something.
State tools, the security, to go after opposition.
It is better for us, for all politicians, to be honorable, even in defeat. Even in defeat, we have 2,555 polling units. 2,555 polling units. And the party defeated the two opponents in about 2,400 polling units. He won his polling unit. Do we now say that he bought votes? That was why he won?
We need to close now. We need to close now. Congressman, your final thought in 30 seconds.
Well, let me say to you that, thank you very much. Let me say to you that I worry for the future of this country. When people who will be representing this country, who will be representing my senatorial district at the Senate, by the grace of God, I mean, in another 1 year maybe, will be on television and be denying what the obvious. First and foremost, I agree. and say that, yes, we did this. Yar'Adua did that before. And that is why President Yar'Adua remains the bastion of honor. Even as a president, he had accepted that his election was flawed. Why is CY talking like this? But for me as a person, well, it doesn't matter anymore. I mean, I don't know what Engineer Shegoni wants to do with the elections, but let me say to you that it would have been a lot better if APC had won that election in the manner in which they portrayed. And CY knows it, that is not true. And of course, I want to say to you that
we're totally out of time.
If you take honor away from
my luck with this timing.
That's what you have on your hands.
But we need to go. Thank you so much, Honorable Bimbo Daramala, popularly called the Congressman, and Mr. Siwa. Cyril, thank you so much for coming.